What's up, YouTube? Kid Moto 22 coming at you today with another moto vlog. Getting in some last minute riding of the season. Not gonna lie, weather forecast says we're supposed to get like 12 inches of snow this week. Second week in October, that's ridiculous. So I thought today we'd discuss something that has recently occurred in my life as being a little bit more prevalent than I expected it to be this soon. And that's two-up riding. Let's get after it. Welcome back, YouTube. So two-up riding. What do we think about two-up riding? I can tell you the two-up riding is not for everybody. And it's not for every bike. So when I owned my 2009 Nightster, I owned that bike for 3 years and I did very little two-up riding on that motorcycle. I did two-up riding a little bit with my daughter. My wife never rode with me on that bike. Quite truthfully, I can't really blame her. I didn't really have that bike set up for two-up riding. I mean, I had that bike set up for really, really for my comfort. I had a seat on there that was not going to be all that comfortable for two-up riding. It was okay for myself and my daughter to ride together, my oldest daughter, but not really an adult. And if anybody has spent any time on a Sportster, unless you've got it set up for two-up riding, they can be very uncomfortable for two-up riding. So when I transitioned from my Sportster to my Road King, my wife really was much more excited to ride with me. She really needed to kind of break herself into two-up riding kind of all over again. Bigger bike, a lot different in setup, a lot different in how she would be riding on the bike compared to when she rode on my Kawasaki Vulcan with me. And so, what I did was what I've done at any time that I've had a two-up rider on is we just kind of went over almost like a checklist, kind of what I wanted her to do to ride with me. Specifically not getting on or off the bike on the side where the exhaust pipes are coming off of the bike. Now there's lots of arguments for and against that, and from my perspective, that's how I was taught to ride. You exit the bike on the kickstand side or on the side where the exhaust pipes are not on, keeping you away from the bike, part of the bike that's going to be the hottest after you've been riding and prior to our first ride, because I think you need to clearly define what you expect from your passenger when you're riding your bike. One of the first things I told her was I wanted her body squared to my body. And so what I mean by that is you want your passenger to be square to your shoulders, and square specifically when you're cornering like I'm doing right now. The reason why this is so important is that extra weight on the bike and the extra distribution of weight on your bike can change how deep you go into a corner or how you come out of that corner. And if your passenger is leaning further down than you are as you go into your corner, your bike is gonna start to turn sharper than you want it to. Or if they're not leaning and they're sitting up on the bike, then you're going to be fighting the bike into the turn. You want the turn to feel natural, as if you're the only person on the bike. And if your passenger is squared to your body, that'll be the case. Now, it's going to feel different with a passenger on a bike. Two-up riding is not one-up riding. You have the added weight, you have somebody else that might be shifting or moving around, your vision in your review mirror, or your not your review mirror, but your bar mirrors, is going to be different, because you're going to see them on one side or the other. Or if you're traveling and they happen to lean one direction or another to look at something, they're going to be more visible in your mirror on that side. And if you're not expecting it, or you're not prepared for it, say as a rider you're going to be changing lanes and your passenger happens to be looking that direction, they may be obstructing your view. So that means you have to be extra vigilant in checking your blind spots. And in regards to that, they might be in your blind spot if they're leaning over, and so comm systems really helps with that. So if you have a comm system and you can be communicating with your passenger on the bike, you can certainly have that conversation. You don't really want your passenger to be shifting a ton when you're doing slow motion maneuvers. So when you're coming up to a stop, when you're pulling out of a parking space or a parking lot, you don't really want your passenger kind of shifting their butt around and shifting their weight around a lot. Slow maneuvering with a passenger on the back is going to drastically affect how your bike moves around. And again, if you're not expecting it, it's going to be much easier to tip your bike over. So those are just some things that that you need to keep in mind. Have your passenger do a visual inspection. Set some expectations for what you want the passenger to be doing while they're riding with you. Know your passenger's limitations while they're riding. Maybe you're the kind of person that can ride for 150 miles, but they're not. Know some of those expectations going into a ride. It's going to make two-up riding so much more enjoyable. And I have found having a comm system to be great. You can talk on a comm system, or you cannot, and that's okay too. So you can be enjoying the ride and lost in your own headspace, or having a conversation about what you might be seeing, what you might be experiencing. That was one of the things that happened with my wife and I. We were riding in the evening. It was a summer evening this year, and as we were riding, it was getting a little bit cooler, and we were in some areas where there was some sun, and in some areas where there's some shade, and there was drastic changes in temperature, and she hadn't really experienced that before, and so it was one of the things we noted on the ride. It was during a two-up ride that we actually discussed next summer making a trip to Duluth, Minnesota, and taking a ride along the scenic byway along Lake Superior, seeing the lighthouses. I mean, that is a trip that I'm going to start planning for us next year, because that is going to be an excellent ride for us. And the ride there will be 300 and some miles, and so we'll have to be taking our breaks just like we would on any other drive or ride. But taking those breaks every 75 miles or so, that's going to be a new experience for her, to set up the bike a little bit differently than I had anticipated for some winter mods. So I have my idea of what I was going to be doing for winter mods this year, and I'm certainly still going to do those things. But in addition to those winter mods, I will also be doing some comfort measures, so to make it more comfortable for my wife. I'll be exchanging the passenger foot pegs for some mini floorboards. I will very likely be changing out the seat. I have been, I would say, very comfortable on the stock Harley touring seat. I have not had a single problem with it at all. I found it to be a very comfortable seat. However, riding around for the few times we've ridden around this summer, my wife is not comfortable on this seat, and so for her, she'll be more comfortable on a seat that has a little bit more coverage for her butt, a little bit more padding, and a little bit more built for two-up riding. The stock Harley seat is not really built for two-up riding for a passenger, in my opinion, for long distances. I think it serves its purpose, and I think it's okay for two-up riding. I don't think it's that great for two-up riding long distances. But this is a fairly new development for me. I was hoping that my wife would be open to riding more with me and doing some traveling. I didn't know if that would be the case, and as we've ridden a little bit more and she spent a little bit more time with me, feels more comfortable riding, feels more safe, has seen what it's like for me to go on trips and I come back and talk about how much fun it was, and how you experience something that you've seen or done before so much differently when you're on a motorcycle than when you're traveling in a car. You know, the sights are new, the smells are new, you feel the changes in temperature. You're exposed to the elements, which is, kind of a different feeling when you're traveling. You might spend your first day, we will certainly spend our first day driving to Duluth. It'll be, 300 miles is probably going to be a good, I'm going to say a 7-hour day traveling. And it's going to be fatiguing. And it's going to be fatiguing for her not being used to traveling on a motorcycle for that kind of distance. Or when you get to your destination and you want to go to dinner and you got to ride the motorcycle. Those are all things that she's not experienced, and so it's going to bring a whole different element to the traveling experience from taking a vacation with my wife on a motorcycle. That's something that I've always looked forward to, and was really hoping that I could get her interested in doing something like that. It's always great when you can share something that you really love with your spouse, with your partner, whoever that might be. I know that for her, riding her own bike is not going to be in her wheelhouse ever, but riding with me is definitely going to be something that I will that I'll take part in. I think it'll be a great experience for both of us to be able to spend some time together differently. You pack different for a motorcycle trip. You travel differently. Your expectations for the trip are different. You're maybe going to be experiencing the weather different or other things. So it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of a new experience for both of us, and I'm quite frankly really excited about it. So let me know in the comments below. Are you a 2-up rider? Do you like 2-up riding? Do you want to do more 2-up riding? I mean, let me know what you think about it, because it'll be it's an interesting topic for discussion, because certainly it's something that changed for me. I did not expect 2-up riding to be as much of a part of what I think next season is going to be for me. By the end of this season, my wife was even asking me, hey, when are we going to go on a ride next? It's nice out, let's go on a ride this evening. That was not something truly that I expected at the end of this year. So it's been an exciting change for me, and something that I'm truly looking forward to. So if you like what you heard today, hit the subscribe button. If you want to be notified when I upload new content, hit the bell icon. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. I'll be changing my format here real soon to going into probably some pretty in-depth reviews on the gear that I use this year, on the things that I use for moto camping. So some different products, gloves, those kind of things. So look for those reviews coming up, because I'll be doing reviews on all of those things coming up this winter. And I'll be putting out either 1 or 2, could be a compilation video, likely with a voiceover of some riding I did at the Midwest Moto Meetup, and some of the areas around on the Great River Road. So unfortunately the audio for that is all blown out, so it's going to be some voiceover audio for sure. But I hope to put out some content with that. Looking forward to getting that content out. I told you guys that I was going to be bringing you some content of riding that I did outside of my area, and so I will be getting that content out. So thank you guys for joining me on one of the last days that I'm going to be able to get out this year. So again, probably going to get some snow this week, and I'm hoping to get out after that. So we'll see if that snow melts. and I can get some riding in after that. If I can, I'll bring you guys more content. If not, this could be the last one. This is Kid Moto. I'm out.